This is a summary of the Integrity Commission report into the statutory declarations submitted by Prime Minister Andrew Holness for the years 2019 to 2022 in respect of concerns that he owns assets disproportionate to his lawful earnings and that he made false statements in his statutory declarations by way of omissions contrary to law.
Reach them! Always make sure the message reach them!
While the Director of Investigation was unable to arrive at a conclusion regarding illicit enrichment regarding Mr. Holness, this publication will highlight some of the major points of contention in the 171-page report. It should also be noted that the Prime Minister's statutory declarations have not been certified for the period under investigation. Based on the report, the investigation commenced on the 5th of May 2023. A schedule of the Prime Minister's expenses covering the relevant period was not provided to investigators. Investigators analyzed approximately 3,600 transactions across 28 bank accounts linked to the Prime Minister. Over 80 witness statements were collected and analyzed. Several judicial hearings were held, including one with Donovan Williams, Member of Parliament for Central Kingston, in his capacity as Secretary for 3 companies linked to the Prime Minister. These companies are Imperium Investments Holdings, Estate Bridge Development Company Limited, and Positive Media Solutions Limited. Imperium is wholly owned by Mr. Holness and is a holding vehicle for his assets. Imperium is the successor company to ADMAT, a company that was set up for a similar purpose in St. Lucia. ADMAT Incorporated was wounded up in 2020 and its assets were transferred to Imperium. Another company of note is Green Emerald Trading Limited, which was cited for giving a $20,625,000 short-term loan to Positive Media Solutions over the period March 2021 to May of 2022. Questions were raised about Green Emerald's ability to provide said loan based on tax returns filed. Questions as to whether the Prime Minister's private funds and the charity funds from Positive Jamaica Foundation were commingled. Mr. Holness is a director of the charity. The alleged use of funds of the charitable foundation to fund the acquisition of personal assets is deemed a misappropriation of funds by the Integrity Commission. The financial interplay between the companies mentioned, where there was intra-company deposits and withdrawals of $473,161,545.37 and $427,174,913.86 respectively, led to the Integrity Commission employing the services of an independent international forensic accounting examiner who took 6 months to complete and submit the report. That examination began on the 9th of June 2023. The Integrity Commission pointed out that the Prime Minister's net worth grew by $51,555,076.22 over the 5-year period ending 2021. It was stated that some declarations made by the Prime Minister were not completely supported by or consistent with bank and transaction records. The Integrity Commission took issue with a $50 million loan from Berita that was to be secured but was not, as collateral said to have been provided for the loan either did not exist in the name of the borrower, which is Imperium, or did not exist at the material time. Also, a legal mortgage which should have been registered in favor of Berita was not registered. A potential conflict of interest was identified with Mr. Norman Brown, who is a shareholder in Estate Bridge. He is the board chairman of the Urban Development Corporation and the Housing Association of Jamaica. These 2 agencies fall under the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, a ministry which Mr. Holness has portfolio responsibility for. Mr. Brown is also the director at the National Solid Waste Management Authority, Montego Bay Freeport and Western Parks and Markets. The report indicates that there are tax compliance concerns, as all 4 companies previously mentioned filed nil tax returns between 2021 and 2022. The report pointed to the fact that in 2021, Imperium earned at least $5,121,105. Positive Media Solutions reported earnings of $20,069,697. Estate Bridge earned $1,040,625, and Green Emerald declared earnings of $355,100. The filing of nil income tax returns for the years 2021 and 2022 on the part of Imperium, Estate Bridge, and Positive Media, in circumstances where those companies reported income and other business activities in their audited financial statements, poses significant tax compliance concerns and is seen as a potential breach of Section 99, subsection 1 of the Income Tax Act. According to the Integrity Commission, this potential breach deprived the government of the opportunity to make an assessment as to whether any taxes were due for the years 2021 and 2022 in respect of the named companies, and if so, the amount due and payable. The Integrity Commission concluded that there does not appear to be any unexplained growth in the net worth assets, liabilities, and income for the year 2021. In 2022, however, the Director of Investigations found what appeared to be unexplained growth in Mr. Holness's and Imperium's net worth of just over $1,930,000. Mr. Holness refused to provide a breakdown of his expenses for the period covered by the investigation. The questions surrounding the use of funds belonging to Positive Jamaica Foundation to purchase in part a bond for Imperium would also need to be resolved by the relevant entities before a final conclusion on the question of illicit enrichment. US $32,107.02 was taken from the funds apparently belonging to the registered charity. It was concluded that Mr. Holness's indication that the full portion of the bond, which was US $94,000, was erroneously attributed to him by NCB Capital Market, is misleading and unsupported by the evidence. Questions were raised about the true nature of Positive Media's operations. Mr. Holness's explanation as to the funding of the reference company indicates that Positive Media is funded by Imperium. However, the evidence obtained by the Director of Investigation suggests that Positive Media was funding Imperium rather than Imperium funding Positive Media. The Integrity Commission recommended that the report be referred to the Director of Corruption Prosecution for consideration as to whether the offense of making a false statement in a statutory declaration and or any other offenses have been committed. It was recommended that the report be referred to the Commissioner General at Tax Administration Jamaica for the necessary assessment to be made and, where required, for the appropriate penalties to be imposed. It was recommended that the report be referred to the Financial Investigations Division for the necessary investigation to be conducted due to questions around the income generating capacity of the reference companies relative to the funds which have been identified in their accounts. It was recommended that the report be referred to the Ethics Committee of Parliament to examine and determine the appropriateness of a minister, directly or indirectly, appointing a business associate or other personal connections to a public board which falls under their portfolio. This is in relation to Mr. Norman Brown. The Director of Investigation recommended that strict laws and guidance be implemented to mitigate conflict of interest and abuse of authority for financial gain and other actions which may in substance amount to insider trading. In regard to the concerns raised in respect of the conduct of Barita around their handling of the $50 million loan to Imperium, the Director of Investigations recommends that a copy of the report be referred to the Financial Services Commission for a consideration as to whether the practices of that entity are consistent with the spirit and scheme of the Financial Services Commission.